I have a personal dilemma a lot of y'all could relate to. I live in the center of my city, but I need to go to work to the outskirts, which means I spend a lot of money and fuel just sitting in traffic, which got me wondering, what is the most frugal, efficient way of getting to my workplace? And that's where this E-Pluto 7G Max from Pure EV comes into play. Not only is it affordable compared to other EV scooters, it also comes with an impressive claimed range of 201 kilometers. Let's find out how it is to live with. My name is Bhavneet Vaswani, you're watching The Driver's Hub, and this is another episode of UpShift. You might be wondering what Pure EV is. Well, the company is in the business of manufacturing electric scooters and motorcycles under the brand. The company has set up a dedicated EV and battery manufacturing unit measuring over 1 lakh square feet and having a dedicated facility for R&D for EV powertrain development and testing. Pure is currently one of the leading EV two-wheeler brands in India and also has a dominant position in exports to South Asian countries like Nepal and Bhutan. The company is focused on building products beloved by the mass consumer and is currently focusing on building a trustworthy brand name in the EV market. The Pure EV E-Pluto 7G Max comes with a 3.5 kilowatt-hour battery that is mated to a 2.4 kilowatt motor that is good for a top speed of 60 kilometers an hour. Yeah, that's not very impressive, but what is impressive about this bike is its efficiency. It's capable of a rated flux efficiency of up to 92%, which is class leading, and it also comes with quite a lot of goodies that help you keep that efficiency in mind, like regenerative coasting and braking. You also have a park assist, 3 ride modes, and the battery also is harnessed by the power of AI for you to get a better life cycle. Oh, and I almost forgot, you can also get firmware updates on this bike. The E-Pluto 7G in terms of design is rather contemporary. It doesn't scream for attention really, but it is still a pretty handsome bike. It's got quite a lot of classy touches like the flat front fascia, round headlight, round mirrors, and moving towards the back, it's got rather sleek lines except the only bulbous area, that is the powertrain, giving it a nice set of hips, making it pretty good from the back. But that doesn't really matter because what we want to know is how it rides. So let's go and do just that. My first impressions of the E-Pluto are positive overall. The ride quality is on the stiffer side, so it is slightly nimble. The brakes are very good for the speeds the bike is capable of, and I didn't struggle in terms of power through the city. While I am trying to squeeze out as many miles as I can from a single charge, I couldn't resist a few cheeky overtakes here and there. And on the move, it is very apparent that this bike is quite light. Talking about the range, the E-Pluto 7G Max has more than enough with a claimed range of 150 to 201 kilometers. Under constant heavy load, it tends to throttle down its power by just a little bit in order to control the heat of the motor, and this is barely noticeable under 50 kilometers an hour. My 20-kilometer long commute through the heart of the city was filled with slow-moving traffic, so I stayed well below those speeds 90% of the time. The E-Pluto is filled with rider aids too, like hill assist control, making sure you don't roll back going uphill, and even with a reverse mode that helps you get out of tight parkings. Yes, it's not a sports bike, so it is a slow rider, but for the purpose of commuting, it does the job perfectly through traffic. While on open stretches, you might be limited to the 60 km per hour top speed, through rush hour, it has more than enough oomph up to 60 to zip through traffic, making it perfect for in-city runs. Let's find out how cheap my 20-kilometer long commute turned out to be. Well, in my car, with an average of 11 kilometers per litre, I consume 1.8 litres of diesel, which amounts to 171 rupees for a one-way trip.
My motorcycle that gives me an average of about 25 kilometers per liter consumes 0.8 liters of petrol, which amounts to 84 rupees for a single trip. Coming on to the cheapest form of transport, that requires me to take 3 buses that amount to a total of 34 rupees per way. But the E-Pluto cost me a total of 22 rupees to fully charge. And my one-way trip depleted around 18% of the battery, which means my commute to the office cost me just 3.69 rupees. Does it get any cheaper? And if you compare it with the premium offerings in the market, the E-Pluto 7G Max is roughly 17% cheaper than the motorcycles that claim to achieve a similar range, making this the best choice in the market if your priority is to get from point A to point B using the least amount of moolah possible. Considering I didn't lose any time on my travel since the scooty is basically the fastest mode of transport in our country, this makes perfect sense to me. And if I had to pick a daily commuter that was electric, the E-Pluto 7G would definitely be one I would consider since it is just so much more affordable than its competition. My only issue would be the fact that I am limited to 60 kilometers per hour, which could turn out to be frustrating in some situations. And the battery takes up quite a lot of space under the seat, leaving you a little short of space. But it seems like a fair price to pay considering the bike gives you essentially 18 paisa per kilometer.
All in all, the E-Pluto 7G Max is a great balance between affordability and modernity, enabling many people who would have shied away from buying an EV due to the price to actually consider the switch of electrification, given that this bike is priced at a very attractive 1.15 lakhs ex showroom. If you're in the market for a bike that is frugal on your pocket, this is essentially one of the cheapest forms of personal commute you could find after walking. And considering that I ride a big brawny 650cc parallel twin on the daily basis, this would be a great addition for the daily grocery runs. What are your thoughts on the E-Pluto 7G Max? Do let us know in the comments down below. That's it from my side. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.